this is Vijay Bambani here, and I'm recording this video still from my residence because of the corona-based lockdown. I hope you're staying indoors but keeping your finger on the pulse of the market, because losing track of the market has its own toll. Today's video is a very interesting one, at least from my point of view. Can behavioral finance and behavioral analysis solve financial market problems? And if yes, how? This is the story of Edwin Coppock, a brilliant behavioral economist of the 1960s who sorted out a huge problem for us financial market investors. If I was to put a title on this video, I would call it the Edwin Coppock phenomena, or the Edwin Coppock hypothesis. But be that as it may, this is the story of Edwin Coppock. You see, after the Second World War, major European economies went into a recession. The manic manufacturing process of arms and ammunition had come to a halt. Youngsters who had been drafted into the armed forces straight out of college, or even between their academic education, had now come back to Europe, to their parent countries, and were either looking out for jobs with part of their academic education complete, or were endeavoring to complete their education and therefore were not generating income. This was a very challenging time. Corporate earnings, therefore, naturally were down, and the stock market was in a recession. Now, the Church of England was having a lot of surplus funds. Religious places and places of worship normally get a lot of donations and a lot of anonymous contributions to God from the believers and followers. And therefore the Church of England had a huge surplus. And the church wanted to deploy this money in the stock market, knowing fully well that sometime or the other, the domination of the British financial markets as a major power in Europe would again be exerted. However, the Church of England had a problem. They had two conditions which needed to be fulfilled before anyone could become a consultant to the Church of England for their stock market investments. Number one, they said, this is the work of God. The words they used were episcopal dispensation. They said, you're going to be working for God, and God does not believe in paying you fees, so it has to be done free of cost. Secondly, God does not like to lose money, so do not come and tell us that the investments that you made on behalf of the Church of England are now underwater and bleeding money. You must generate a profit. Guess what? Nobody volunteered. Nobody except a guy called Edwin Coppock. He stepped forward and he said, I'm willing to do the work of God, and I will accept no fees. I will try that there is no loss to the Church of England, which means buying nearly at the bottom of the recessionary phase of the capital markets. Now, Edwin Coppock was gladly accepted by the Church of England, and they magnanimously, of course, offered him all kinds of help in trying to basically shortlist investments, etc. And Edwin Coppock threw a curveball at the vicar of his church. He said, if God wants service from me for no fee and putting stringent conditions like I must not lose money, then God has to answer a few questions for me. The vicar offered to help and mediate between Edwin Coppock and God. Edwin Coppock said, I want to sit in the confession box with a priest, especially when people are coming to confess their grief or their crimes committed due to grief. Why grief? Think about it. What is a bear market? A bear market is supposed to cause you grief. Whatever you have bought is below your purchase price. It causes you distress. It causes you anguish. It causes you pain. You think you're denying money to your family. You think you've done injustice, harm, and disservice to your near and dear ones. That is grief. So Edwin Coppock sat in the confession boxes with many priests across various churches and first wanted to find out what was the most profound grief that people felt. He realized that the highest level of grief was felt by widows who had recently lost their husbands, especially if they were neither rich nor did they have children. Now, can you imagine a widow's plight? No kids, no issues to look after them in their old age, and the only breadwinner of the family is gone. All right? So, this was the highest level of grief. Edwin Coppock wanted to find out how long it took for such a widow to basically come over her grief. Through trial and error and listening to many confession boxes, he realized that it took an average widow between 11 to 14 months to get over the grief of a deceased husband. Now, he figured that the loss of a near and dear one, especially of a widow with little or no money and no children, must be really very acute. And if she can get over that loss in 11 to 14 months, a smaller grief like a bear market either should not last any more than 11 to 14 months. This is called the Coppock Hypothesis, which tells you that no bear market should ideally, unless it's really something humongous in nature, unknown to man. So this hypothesis tells us that between 11 and 14 months, no matter how vicious a bear market is, it comes to an end. I'm willing to stand by what I've just said. Go back in time and check out all bear markets. The 1992 Harshad Mehta scam, the year 2000 Y2K stock market bubble, the 2008 global financial crisis, and use the present market, the coronavirus decline that actually got triggered in February of 2020. Am I saying that bear markets will last for 11 to 14 months? No, I'm not saying that at all. I'm saying that they can last for no more than 11 to 14 months. Hey, they can recover faster, but not later than 11 to 14 months. Take, for example, the global financial crisis. The market started declining on 8th of January 2008 and bottomed out by the third week of October 2008 itself. All right, 10 months, give or take a little. So, I would say, whenever you are overwhelmed with concerns about the market as to when they will recover and how long this dark phase will kind of last in your market investment experience, do remember Edwin Coppock. In those days, remember, Edwin Coppock did not have the luxury of computers, hypercomputing power, etc. Everything was done by hand. Mercifully, digitization and computerization has come to the aid of a modern day trader, and we now have something called the Coppock oscillator. Do some work on this, find out what the Coppock oscillator is, and I assure you, you have my word, you will be able to time the market bottoms better. This is Vijay Bambwani signing off from this video. Not before reminding you to click like on this video if you agree with what I've said. In the comment section, do let me know what you think about this video and what else you would want me to record for you in the future. Do not forget to recommend this video to your family and friends and help me spread the cult of knowledge-based investments. Do take very good care of yourself, your trades, your investment, and like I said, don't take your finger off the pulse of the market. Thank you. Have a profitable day.
Also, do not forget to subscribe to my free email newsletter, Fast Profits Daily, and get my free guide, How to Trade Markets Like a Pro.